Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling cloud strategy. It's
Mm,
a big topic, I know, but honestly, it's crucial for just about every modern business.
absolutely.
We've got a great mix of sources to draw from articles covering perspectives from TechTarget, Microsoft, ScaleGrid, ESG, DocSumo, CloudDefense.ai, and Google Cloud.
Quite the lineup.
Yeah, so our goal here is really to distill the essential insights from all of this. We want you, the listener, to get a solid handle on cloud strategy, what it is, why it matters, without, getting totally bogged down in jargon.
Exactly. Think of it as your quick guide. At its core, a cloud strategy is that high-level statement from your organization. It's the what you want to achieve and the why behind using the cloud.
Not the super detailed how, then.
No, not the nitty-gritty technical manual. It's more like a roadmap, making sure your cloud investments actually line up with your bigger business objectives.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's jump right in. Why is having this strategy actually so vital? What's the real-world impact?
Well, first off, it stops your cloud spending from being, well, a shot in the dark. A good strategy connects what you're investing in the cloud directly to measurable business results. Right. It gives leadership those benchmarks they need, to see if the benefits are really outweighing the costs.
So it's about proving the value.
Precisely. And it needs to be specific. Like instead of just reduce costs, maybe target a 15% cut in infrastructure spend in 18 months using serverless for X workload. That clarity is key.
Got it. Tangible goals. What else does it do?
Beyond the money aspect, it provides a comprehensive plan for how your whole organization interacts with the cloud.
How so?
Well, it covers everything. Resource allocation, security protocols, how you integrate with existing systems, monitoring, reporting, optimization, the whole life cycle.
Okay.
Without that big picture plan, cloud use can get really fragmented. Different departments doing their own thing, maybe inefficiently.
Which could ironically cost more, right?
Right. Exactly. It often leads to inefficiency and, yeah, higher costs in the long run. You lose that central control and visibility.
So it's like the master plan to avoid cloud chaos.
You got it. And it also sets crucial expectations around performance and reliability. Your strategy should define what you need so applications run smoothly, especially when scaling up or down.
And reliability, too.
Definitely. Defining the uptime and availability needed is critical to protect against outages. And, the foundation for all this, as one source pointed out, is the service model you choose, IaaS, PaaS, or SaaS.
Ah, yes, the IaaS service models. Can you give us a quick reminder of what those mean in practical terms?
Sure. Think of IaaS infrastructure as a service. That's like renting the basic computing infrastructure server, storage, networks. It's the raw building blocks.
Like renting the land and materials.
Kind of, yeah. Then PaaS, platform as a service, gives you that infrastructure, plus the tools and services needed to build and run applications, operating systems, databases, middleware.
So more like a prepped workshop.
Yeah, or like renting an apartment where the basic structure and utilities are handled. And SaaS, software as a service, is when you're just using a complete application delivered over the internet. Think Gmail, Salesforce.
Like subscribing to a finished service.
Exactly. You just use it.
That helps clarify things.
Yeah.
Now, one article also mentioned this idea of assessment and alignment. What's the core idea there?
Yeah, that's crucial. It emphasizes really understanding your own organization's specific needs first, like really understanding them.
Before jumping into solutions.
Precisely. And then carefully matching those needs to what the different cloud providers actually offer. This whole assessment and alignment piece, it sets realistic expectations right from the start.
And helps justify the costs.
Yes, it establishes that line not just for the initial justification, but also for showing ongoing value and finding areas for improvement later on.
Okay, so we see why the strategy is essential. Now let's talk about the different types of cloud environments. We hear public, private, hybrid, multi-cloud all the time. Can you break those down?
Absolutely. Let's start with public cloud. As the name suggests, and as TechTarget described, it's a platform managed by a third-party provider. Think AWS, Azure, Google Cloud.
The big names.
Right. Their resources, compute, storage, services are available to anyone over the internet, usually on a pay-per-use basis. It's like a shared utility.
Got it. Shared resources, massive scale. What about private cloud?
Private cloud is different. It's infrastructure dedicated solely to one organization.
So not shared.
Exactly. It might be managed internally or by a third party, but the key is those resources are exclusive. This offers more control, potentially more security for companies with specific needs, like having your own private power source.
Okay. And hybrid cloud sounds like a mix.
It is. Hybrid cloud blends elements of both private and public clouds. Organizations use it to balance things, maybe keep sensitive data on a private cloud, but use the public cloud for, say, scalable web applications.
Finding the best of both worlds.
That's the goal. And companies like ScaleGrid actually offer solutions specifically designed to integrate smoothly with these hybrid setups. It's like having your own generator, but also being connected to the main grid.
Makes sense. And finally, multi-cloud. Is that just using more than one public cloud?
Yep, you nailed it. Multi-cloud means using services from multiple different public cloud providers.
Why do that?
Well, often for flexibility, maybe cost optimization, or to avoid being locked into just one vendor. ScaleGrid also mentioned having tools tailored for managing these multi-cloud setups because they can get complex.
Like getting electricity from different companies for the best deal or reliability.
That's a good analogy, yeah.
And seeing real-world examples helps
Yeah.
too. You mentioned Spotify and Netflix.
Right. It really grounds these concepts.
Yeah.
Spotify uses multi-cloud, picking and choosing services from different providers to optimize cost and performance for various tasks. And Netflix uses a hybrid model. They have their own massive infrastructure for the core content delivery, but they leverage the public cloud for other things like content creation tools, things that need to scale up and down really fast.
Okay, that really illustrates how these models work in practice. So let's say someone's listening and thinking, okay, I need to develop or refine our cloud strategy. What are the key considerations and best practices?
Good question. Our sources highlight several critical points. First, and this came up strongly, you need to focus on clear cloud goals.
Beyond just, we should be in the cloud.
Absolutely. There has to be a tangible business justification. Is it about faster time to market, better scalability for peak loads, supporting rapid growth? The cloud is particularly powerful for businesses needing that agility.
So purpose-driven adoption.
Exactly. And building on that, cost management is absolutely vital.
We touched on this, but it's not always cheaper up front.
Right. The sources emphasize that. The real cost effectiveness often comes from that scalability and pay-per-use model. But you have to actively manage it. You need deeper analysis. Look at cost per feature, or total cost to serve a customer. Practices like FinOps financial operations for the cloud are becoming really important for controlling that spend.
So continuous attention to cost.
Definitely. Another key practice: plan your migration over time. Moving to the cloud is usually gradual, not a big bang.
Right. Rarely flicking a switch.
Almost never. Your strategy needs to map out how you'll move existing workloads. Which applications move first? How do you handle dependencies? How do you optimize them for the cloud?
Sounds complex.
It can be. Good planning here minimizes disruption, controls costs, ensures performance, maintains governance, and keeps things secure during that transition phase.
Speaking of security, that's always a huge concern. What needs to be in the strategy regarding security?
Hugely important. Your strategy must outline clear security goals: protecting data, ensuring privacy, maintaining compliance in the cloud environment.
Should it mirror on-premise security?
It needs to align with your existing practices, yes, but also adapt to and leverage the specific security tools the cloud provider offers. And you absolutely have to regularly vet the provider's security measures.
And what about data across multiple clouds?
That's a big one ESG highlighted. If you're using multiple clouds, especially with sensitive data spread around, you need a unified approach to things like data loss prevention. Consistency is key.
So adapt and verify. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And related to security is governance.
Very much so. Align governance with business goals. Governance basically is ensuring your cloud usage actually meets business needs.
What does that involve?
It's broad. Defining roles and responsibilities, setting up access controls, managing data lifecycle, having disaster recovery plans, establishing policies for resource usage.
A lot to cover.
Yes, and importantly, cloud governance isn't static. It has to evolve as your cloud footprint grows and changes.
So the strategy itself isn't a one-and-done document either.
Definitely not. It absolutely needs to be updated regularly. Think of it as a living document.
When should it be revisited?
Major updates are needed during big migration phases, obviously, but also whenever new business units need cloud access, when business or security requirements change, or, importantly, when new cloud technologies and services become available that might offer advantages.
Okay, staying current is vital. The service and deployment models we discussed, IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, public-private, etc., why is considering them critical for the strategy itself?
Because each model has different strengths, weaknesses, cost implications, and management overheads. Choosing the right model for the right workload is fundamental.
Like choosing the right tool for the job.
Exactly. Your strategy needs to reflect why you chose a particular model for a specific need. That choice impacts everything from cost to security to agility.
And what about the people side of things? Skills and training.
Crucial. One source really emphasized bolstering cloud skills. This happens on two fronts.
Okay.
First, you need the technical folks who can actually design, build, operate, and troubleshoot cloud environments. That takes training, hands-on experience, trial, and error.
And the second front.
End user accessibility. How easy is it for, say, your data scientists or analysts to actually use the cloud resources they need? This often involves creating clear policies, providing templates, using automation, making it simple and safe for them.
Empowering both the builders and the users. Got it. Okay, we've covered the why and the how-to, but what about the bumps in the road? What challenges do organizations typically face when creating these strategies?
Several common ones pop up. We mentioned it, but the cloud skills gap is a big one. Public clouds offer a huge range of services, and finding people who truly understand how to architect and optimize for them can be tough.
It's a specialized skill set.
It really is. Then there's organizational change. Moving critical systems externally. That impacts processes, workflows, even company culture.
Resistance to change.
Often, yes. Getting buy-in, ensuring collaboration between teams, IT, security, business units, that communication is essential but can be a challenge.
Managing the human element again.
Yeah.
What about the tech itself?
Workload demands can be tricky. Older legacy applications might just not be suited for the cloud without significant, often costly refactoring.
Lift and shift isn't always possible or wise.
Exactly. And designing cloud architectures, especially with newer paradigms like microservices, breaking apps into small independent pieces, that requires careful planning and testing.
And we keep coming back to security. Security and compliance oversights must be a major challenge too.
A constant worry. Translating robust on-prem security controls to a third-party infrastructure isn't straightforward. You have to scrutinize the provider's practices against your requirements.
Especially with regulation.
Absolutely. And again, that need for unified data loss prevention across multiple clouds just underscores the complexity.
Is getting stuck with one provider a realistic fear?
Yes, vendor issues, particularly vendor lock-in, are a significant concern. Many cloud services use proprietary tech, which can make switching difficult or expensive.
So multi-cloud helps there.
It aims to, but using multiple clouds introduces its own integration and management complexities. And, while rare, cloud outages highlight the risks of reliance. Strategies should favor open standards and portability where feasible.
And finally, back to money. Cost management difficulties.
Always a potential challenge. The promise of savings is there, but achieving it requires vigilant monitoring and governance. It's surprisingly easy to overspend if you're not careful.
So clear policies and tracking are essential.
Non-negotiable, really. Otherwise, the cost argument for the cloud can quickly unravel.
Understood. It's good to be aware of these potential pitfalls. Now, one of the articles used NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, as an example of a strategy. What stood out there?
Yeah, the NOAA example was interesting because it was described as both comprehensive yet concise. It clearly stated their drivers, things like scalability needs, consistency, security enhancements, cost management, data flexibility.
The way.
Exactly. And then their main strategic goals, things like figuring out how to migrate, rehosting, replatforming, refactoring, adopting cloud-native approaches, developing an HPC strategy for the cloud, setting up governance, training staff, enabling self-service, defining architecture requirements, and cost optimization.
So high-level goals based on the drivers.
Precisely. And what was notable was its focus on the what and why, not the how. The implementation details were kept separate.
Keeping the strategy focused.
Right. And interestingly, they explicitly acknowledged a hybrid approach, recognizing they'd still need some on-premise high-performance computing during the transition and for specific tasks.
A pragmatic approach then. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Microsoft's perspective focused on the cloud as a platform. What was their core message?
Microsoft really emphasized the evolution of the cloud, from basic tools to now a full-fledged platform for running a business. They particularly highlighted the benefits for smaller companies.
How so?
giving them access to powerful IT capabilities, the kind previously only affordable by large enterprises, without that huge upfront investment and ongoing data center cost.
Leveling the playing field.
In many ways, yes. This utility model, computing as a service, makes enterprise-grade tools secure, managed, and affordable for almost any size business.
So it's more than just infrastructure.
Much more. They argued businesses are moving beyond just cost savings and seeing the cloud as a strategic platform for innovation and growth. It allows smaller, more agile companies to achieve enterprise-level scale.
Changing the role of IT.
Exactly. Transforming IT from a cost center focused on maintenance into an innovation driver, because the platform handles a lot of the underlying complexity and security.
What specific advantages did they call out?
Improved productivity through connected solutions, automation, faster deployment, less maintenance, getting rid of infrastructure wait times, and crucially, using data insights for competitive advantage.
They also share some stats, right?
They did, highlighting that most SMBs using the cloud are looking for more agility and technical power, and a significant chunk already use a hybrid strategy. It shows the trend is well underway.
What are the core benefits of this platform view?
Microsoft summed it up as flexibility, power, coherence, connecting data across systems, and value. Getting those big capabilities on a budget. It enables both agility and resilience.
And they mentioned emerging capabilities, too.
Yeah, things like streamlining processes even further, enhancing customer experiences, and consolidating services into suites for bigger benefits. They cited a customer example, Angeline, who lowered overhead using Dynamics on Azure and Office 365.
A real-world case of the platform approach.
Yeah.
Okay, let's turn to the Doxumo perspective on cloud computing and digital transformation. What's their key argument?
Doxumo positions cloud computing as a fundamental enabler of digital transformation, that process of using tech to radically change business operations and value delivery.
So cloud is the engine for that change.
Pretty much. They noted the increasing investment in digital transformation globally, driven by the need for better customer experiences, operational efficiency, innovation, and competitive advantage. And the pandemic really accelerated this.
Right, forced many hands.
It did. They reiterated the cloud types, public, private, hybrid, and then detailed the cloud's advantages specifically for digital transformation.
That's that.
Agility and speed, being able to provision resources programmatically. Faster issue detection and recovery thanks to built-in monitoring.
Yeah.
For mobility, they use the example of e-commerce on AWS handling massive peaks.
That auto-scaling is a big one.
Huge. Also, cost efficiency via pay-as-you-go, reducing capital expenditure, and access to cutting-edge tech, AI, ML, big data tools that startups can now use, the same stuff the giants use.
Democratizing technology again.
Exactly. They also touched on how AI, PaaS, SaaS contribute the prevalence of multi-cloud, and introduced concepts like CNAAPP for securing cloud apps and observability tools like OpenTelemetry for monitoring complex systems.
They covered a lot of ground.
They did. Also emphasizing cloud's role in enabling scalability and global reach, better data management for real-time analytics, and enhancing collaboration with tools like Microsoft Teams.
And security in this transformation context.
Address that too, highlighting built-in controls, the zero trust model basically. Verify everything, trust nothing implicitly, and measures like multi-factor authentication.
A very comprehensive view of cloud's role in changing business. Now, looking ahead, clouddefense.ai give us a forecast for 2025-2030. What trends did they see?
They reinforce cloud as the digital transformation driver, listing benefits like simpler IT, scalability, cost-effectiveness, flexibility, disaster recovery, security, DevOps enhancement, accessibility, standard stuff, but important.
And the future trends.
They outlined 10 key ones: more hybrid and multi-cloud adoption, deeper integration of AI and ML within cloud services, the rise of edge computing processing data closer to the source.
Edge is getting a lot of buzz.
It is. Also, IoT driving cloud adoption for data storage, expansion of containerization Kubernetes, Docker boosting cloud-native apps, enhanced data storage options, a bigger focus on energy efficiency in data centers.
Greener cloud.
Hopefully. Also, more serverless computing, adoption of service mesh for managing microservices communication, and increasingly industry-specific cloud services.
A packed forecast. What about specifically 2025-2030?
They see rapid multi-cloud use, AI becoming integral for efficiency and security, better overall security measures, possibly blockchain integration for data transparency, edge computing for real-time analytics, a big focus on cloud-native development, and widespread use of cloud orchestration tools.
Sounds like a very dynamic period ahead. They also mentioned skills.
Yes, listing key skills like programming languages, Kubernetes Docker expertise, major cloud platform proficiency, AWS, Azure, GCP, infrastructure as code tools, database management, networking, security, DevOps tools, monitoring, architecture design, and automation.
A lot for people to learn. And AI's role.
They see AI transforming cloud further through advanced analytics, automating cloud management tasks, and enhancing user experiences via personalization and chatbots.
AI seems woven into everything now. Okay, finally, the Google Cloud perspective. What was their pitch on why Google Cloud?
Google positioned themselves as a partner for digital transformation, really leaning into their strengths in AI, data analytics, infrastructure, collaboration tools, workspace, and security.
Focusing on their differentiators.
Exactly. They heavily emphasize their enterprise-ready generative AI solutions and their comprehensive data platform, claiming it's built for AI and handles workloads across environments. They mentioned many AI unicorns run on their cloud.
Highlighting AI leadership.
Right. Also promoting their modern infrastructure optimized for AI, containers, and even high-performance computing, aiming for cost and carbon footprint reduction.
And collaboration.
Big push on Google Workspace, highlighting its massive user base and embedded AI features for productivity. Leverage their global scale and threat intelligence from Mandiant, emphasizing proactive, built-in security. They also mentioned sustainability efforts.
So what are the key benefits they summarized?
AML prowess, strong multi-cloud capabilities, their global infrastructure, a unified data platform, data cloud, modern infrastructure, robust security, and the productivity collaboration suite. They also pointed to industry-specific solutions and app modernization tools.
Interesting to hear how each major player frames their offerings and vision.
Absolutely. Each perspective adds a valuable layer to understanding the whole cloud strategy landscape.
Well, this has been incredibly insightful, a real deep dive into cloud strategy. So to quickly recap the key takeaways, it seems absolutely clear that a well-thought-out cloud strategy is non-negotiable for success.
Right. It's essential.
It aligns tech spending with actual business goals and gives you that vital roadmap for resource allocation, security, migration, everything.
And understanding the different models, public, private, hybrid, multi-cloud, is crucial for choosing the right path. Each has its place.
Definitely. And building that strategy means really considering your goals, managing costs proactively, planning migration carefully, focusing on security and governance, and critically, developing the right skills.
Couldn't agree more. And looking forward, the cloud is clearly evolving into this powerful platform driving digital transformation. Trends like AI, edge computing, multi-cloud, they're reshaping what's possible.
Which brings us to a final thought for our listeners.
Yes. Considering this incredibly rapid pace of change, especially with AI advancing so quickly and multi-cloud environments becoming more complex, how do organizations need to adapt? How must cloud strategies and team skill sets evolve to truly harness the cloud's full potential while also managing the new risks that inevitably emerge in the coming years?
Something to definitely ponder. It's a dynamic field, and staying adaptable seems key.
Absolutely essential.